Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about social anxiety disorder. The first half of this video is going to be me telling you guys about a few statistics I found and a bit of information to help you understand what social anxiety disorder is. The next part of the video will be me talking about how I live with social anxiety disorder and the struggles and things that I have to go through every day. So statistically, social anxiety disorder tends to be higher in individuals aged between 18 to 30 years old. It is more common in women than it is in men. 31.3% tend to have a mild case of it, 38.8% tend to have a moderate case, and 29.9% tend to have it very seriously. There are very different symptoms that people go through when they have it, from emotional to physical. Some emotional symptoms that may be experienced would be the fear of judgment in a social setting, constant worrying in social settings that people are judging everything that you're doing, or if you're doing something wrong, even if you aren't doing anything wrong. The fear that others will notice the anxiety that you're feeling inside. Avoiding being the center of attention, which I do very often, which is odd because I want to be an actress and I act, so I shouldn't be afraid of being the center of attention, but it happens. Or even overanalyzing social events after they've happened. So that's just like you went to a social event, you got home, and now you're overanalyzing everything that you did at the social event. Did you say hello to someone? Did you not say hello to someone? Did you wave when someone waved at you? Or did you fist bump when someone went in for a high five? Or did this person speak to you and you didn't acknowledge that they were speaking to you because you didn't hear them, but you never told them that you couldn't hear them? It builds and builds and builds. Physical symptoms that people go through can be anything from blushing, fast heart beating, I get that, trembling. I don't get trembling all over my body, but I do get trembling in my hands. Sweating, I get that. Upset stomach and nausea, trouble catching your breath, dizziness, lightheadedness, blank mind, and even muscle tension, which I do get too. People with social anxiety disorder tend to avoid going to parties. They avoid talking to strangers if they can. They never try and start conversations, but they will find a doorway into a conversation so no one realizes that they're avoiding being part of that conversation. Making eye contact, which I do, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but I can't stress it enough or explain it more times than I already have, that if you are speaking to me and I'm making eye contact with you, I'm not listening to anything you're saying. And it's not because I'm being disrespectful or I don't want to listen to what you're saying. It's because my brain is moving a mile a minute and I'm trying to focus everything in my brain on the fact that you want me to maintain eye contact. You want me to maintain eye contact with you, and it can be very frustrating. Another avoidance that we do go through with social anxiety disorder is entering into a crowded room with people already sitting down. It can be the scariest thing a person with social anxiety disorder has to do. I've experienced it on many occasions. Like, if you are watching this and you've gone to church late, you've probably experienced it too, where you've walked in and everyone looks back at you, whereas for you it just felt like, okay, this is awkward, I'm just gonna sit down, or you do like a cool wave or whatever. Whereas for me, the moment everyone looks back, or I walk into a crowded room and people acknowledge that I've walked into the room, my mind starts racing as to, what did you do just now? Did you wave? Were you not supposed to wave? Were you supposed to do this? Were you not supposed to do that? And my brain just takes off and it starts to worry and it starts to panic, and that panic grows and grows and grows and grows. It can be very frustrating. There are many different tactics that people use to try and curb or control or even manage those symptoms when they approach. I have tried many and they never seem to work. One of the other things that I do with my social anxiety disorder is I fidget quite often. And I've tried to find things to take my mind off of them, because most people do have that, but nothing seems to be a long-term fix for me. Everything seems to hit a point of expiration where it just stops working. For me, I kind of knew from the age of 12 that I wasn't like my sister and my brothers, and I wasn't like them, because they all seemed to be social butterflies, and here I was, this social caterpillar's egg, barely formed, and like I just didn't know how to talk to people. I just didn't want to be around people, and it wasn't that I didn't like people. It was just, I don't know you and I don't want to be around you. The older I got, the more I started to realize that I really don't like being in social settings. I was pretty lucky that my mom didn't ever force us to go to family parties. Like if I said I didn't want to go, I didn't have to go. But it was always a big frustration, because I at that time didn't know what it was called. I just knew I didn't want to be around people, and it was so weird because you have my brothers and my sisters who were like great at being social, and then there was me that was like, ew, why? Like, why are they coming over? Like, people are coming to the house, why? Can I go to my room? And like that was just who I was. As I got older, I would say around in my 20s, that was when I kind of started to realize what it was, and I kind of started doing my own research, and then I realized, after speaking to somebody with social anxiety disorder, what it was specifically that I had. For me, that day was kind of a win and a fail at the same time, because it was a win in the sense that I now had a name for what I was going through. I now knew for certain what it was I was going through, so I knew what to speak about when I was saying to somebody, this is why I am the way I am. Whereas it was a fail in the sense that it was like, you hear someone say, man, you've got social anxiety disorder, and all you hear is the disorder part. And you're like, so everyone was right. I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. And like, it's odd because when you kind of realize that you have something, you shouldn't feel bad about it. You're supposed to feel like happy, if anything, that like at least I know what I have. Whereas for me, it was just like, so everyone was right. I am broken. I am weird. I am different. And it was something I had to kind of learn to be okay with. And I know that like mental health isn't something that's spoken about very widely in the Black community, especially in the Black church community. It's not something that's discussed. And so it was harder as well, because then I'm like, so who do I speak to? Who do I talk to about it? Who can I confer in? Who do I confide in? I'm not a doctor's kind of girl, and like, so I'm not the girl that's like, oh, I should just go speak to a doctor about it, because I did grow up in that mindset of that there's nothing wrong with you, so like you don't have disorders and stuff like that, you're just not the same as everyone else. And so it kind of stuck in my head, like, you just don't go to a doctor. So it, for the longest time, after finding out what it actually was that I had to then kind of come to this understanding of you're okay even when you're not okay. Like I said before, I did try many different managing tactics. I used to snap elastic bands on my wrist, and for the longest time that worked. Not in stopping the anxiety, but in deterring my focus from the anxiety and focusing it on the pain that I would be feeling from snapping the elastic band on my wrist. But then somebody mentioned it to me, and someone was like, yo, why do you have an elastic band on your wrist, and why are you always snapping it? And in my head it clicked instantly, and it was like, she knows, everyone knows, he knows, they know, we know, everyone knows, and everyone's talking about it. And it just kickstarted everything going off in my head, and I'm like, everyone knows that you're going through something, everyone can see that you're suffering with this. And it just, I had to take it off. And then I switched to fidget cubes, and I was like, this is gonna be great, because like, this is like, it works. I'm not fidgeting with my hands, so people aren't telling me to stop moving. I'm not fidgeting with my knee. It's great. And then I had someone come up to me and say to me, oh, you use fidget cubes? I thought those were for kids. And it was like, thank you. And that kickstarted off that anxiety chapter as well, of it's for kids, people think you're childish, and people already usually do think I'm childish. So it was like, they all think I'm childish, they all think this is why, like, and it just grew and grew and grew. And there never seemed to be anything, like I said before, that worked. There never seemed to be anything that lasted long enough. And I'm pretty sure like doctors will be like, there's a pill you can take for it, but I'm not a pill swallowing kind of person. And this isn't like a knock on anyone who has social anxiety disorder that does take pills for it, because it might work for you, but I know myself, and I know that it wouldn't work for me. I know that I couldn't put myself through that. So I made that decision myself to not be that person. But if you are a person who is going through it and the doctor has recommended pills for you, then please follow your doctor's instructions. One of the things I will say I did notice about myself with my social anxiety disorder is that I required a few things from the people I surrounded myself with. And I had to come to an understanding of how to articulate that to the people I surrounded myself with. Those things that I need would be space, time, and consistency, and patience as well. So 4 things. I would need those 4 things. Consistency for me is super important, because even though for those people who look at my life from the outside, it seems like organized chaos, or it just seems like chaos. I don't know. You tell me what you think it looks like. But for me, it's not chaos at all. It's actually consistent. And I need that, because if I have anything in my life that I have established a system of consistency with that somebody wrecks, I am thrown through a loop and the anxiety increases. I then need to figure out how to get the consistency back, or find something to fill that space of consistency, so I no longer have that worry on my mind, because that happens often. The time and the space thing kind of work hand in hand. As much as I love my friends and I love the people who I have in my corner supporting me, there are times and there are days where I'm just like, I just need to be by myself. I just need to not be around other human beings today. And I have friends now who fully understand that, but I have had friends in the past who didn't get that. So when I would say I need space or I need time, they'd be like, wow, you're just going to shut people out? Wow, that's what you're going to do? And that's like the worst possible thing you can do, because what you do when you tell a person with social anxiety disorder that is that they're shutting you out is hurting you. And what you don't realize is that's processed in our mind, and we don't want to do anything that hurts you. So if you say that to me, what happens in my mind is I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hurt you. So I will force myself to not take time off for myself to get myself right, to be around you, so you don't feel like I am shutting you out. And that could be dangerous on so many counts, because what it is you're filling up a bottle. And the more I fill it up because I don't want to upset you, the more I'm losing focus of the fact that this bottle is filling up, and sooner or later it's going to explode. Another thing is patience. There are so many times that I've been so grateful for the patience that my friends have when it comes to handling me, shall I say, or like dealing with my episodes, because if they weren't as patient as they were, I genuinely believe I just wouldn't have friends. It's very easy for me to become very reclusive and to shut myself off from other people. It's super easy, and I am glad that I have friends with the patience enough and the understanding as well enough to be like, you need space, I understand that you need the space, and I'm gonna wait for you to be ready to not need space before I like move in and be like, hey, let's try this. And I've been very lucky to have friends like that now, as opposed to in my past I kind of had friends and surrounded myself with people who didn't really understand what I was going through. So a lot of the time I was met with resistance a lot when I would be like, oh, I don't want to go to this outing. They would be like, why don't you want to go? Or I would get like people saying things like, oh, why aren't you trying to be more social? Why aren't you talking? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Because no one understood. But every time they questioned it, it just made me feel worse than I felt already on the inside. I don't know, like, what else I can say to or add to this video. All I can tell you is, if you have any friends or family members that you think might possibly have social anxiety disorder, this is a conversation that needs to be had. And it's not going to be the easiest conversation to have, because you have to understand that the person that's going through it doesn't necessarily want to talk about it either, because talking about it kind of makes it real, but also talking about it opens up the topic for there to be judgment. So all you can do is kind of do your best to open up the topic, but with as much patience and care as you possibly can. But also be aware that whatever they throw at you when you open up this topic isn't them trying to attack you, but it's them trying to understand themselves as well. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all for tuning into the video. I'm really excited, I guess. I don't know if I should say I'm excited, but I'm semi-proud of myself for actually doing this, because I didn't want to do this. When I put the topic choices up, I was really hoping everybody would choose body, so I wouldn't have to confront this topic. But I'm glad that I could bring this topic up, and talk about it and actually do this video. I didn't think I would actually make it through the video, but I did, so that's pretty cool. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description box below. So if you know anyone who is going through it, or you want to know how to help somebody that is going through it, or you just want to get a bit more information, just in case you think you might have it yourself, I'm going to leave a couple of links in the bottom of websites and people that you can talk to that can really just kind of alleviate the stress and the weight of having it on you. Again, that's it. That's pretty much the video. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and get involved with the conversation, or use this to inspire a conversation with someone else. Have a great day and be awesome. Bye.